Hi, Joe Cerrone.
Al Rosen.
We're going to go through Chapter 2 for CAD 134. This is quick start tutorial in basic settings. Our objectives for the commands basically goes through teaching you how to create a new AutoCAD drawing, work with layers and colors, line weights, function keys, grid and snap, ortho mode, which just means horizontal or vertical lines. We're not going to do annotation scale. It's too complicated. We can do it traditional ways by just setting text heights in dim scales. We'll look at printing and plotting to a model tab, and we'll look at some of these commands as we go through. So when it starts off, the book is really quite well organized. He does a lot of tutorials, or they do. I think it's a husband and wife team because they have the same last name. And so what we do in this first assignment is we just draw these squares and these arcs and these donuts. And so the tutorials in the book are kind of hard, in my opinion, to read how to draw. We like to just make recordings. And so we're recording this. And so what it has us do here is to start a new drawing with a template. And it just has us use the CAD template, which is a default template. And then it has us save the drawing as a 2013. We're going to just go with the 2018 drawing. And we're going to save it with our initials. And they go through all this stuff that we don't need to worry about. We're just going to save it as our initials, and we'll call it Chapter 2 tutorial. So with that, I'll go to my AutoCAD. And I've already got some of these started. I'll just say File, New, and I'll choose the CAD template. Templates are DWT files. You can choose other ones like architectural. I means inch, or imperial, M means metric. So this is just a plain vanilla template. And then what I'll do is I'll come back and I'll set up my grid and my snap on this. And so if I look at the textbook information, let's see if I can find it. There it is. What it wants me to do, I think I have two of them open. Maybe three. I'm in Chapter 2. There it is. Sorry about that. So I've opened and created a new drawing. I'm going to save it as Chapter 2, and I'm going to mark where my thing is so that I don't lose that. Go back here. And I'll do a file, save as, and I'll save it to a location that I know where it is. And so I save these to a CAD 134. The default is drawing. I'll say JC dash tutorial 1, Chapter 2, tutorial 1. And it looks like I hit it as 1 like that. And so I'll call it 1X just so I don't have too many of them. And that's that. And then if we come back here and we take a look at what we're going to do, it goes through and explains things like units. Units are very important because when we work with architectural units, they're input in feet and inches versus the default, which is decimal, which is just 36 units equals 3 feet in architectural units. And so it's just straight inches by default. So when we go back to our drawing here, what they're telling us to do is to use the units command and to set the units to architectural, and then the level of precision for the input. 1/16 is fine, it's more than fine. And then we'll go through and we'll work with what's called the limits and the grid. And so as we go through, we can go to the format, units, and I'll change the units from decimal to architectural. And when the units are in architectural and I say okay, when I draw a line, and I'm just going to go and beef up the line weight. And I like to use colors for it. And so if I click on the color swatch in the layer, I can make it blue. I typically use blue object lines. And then if I go through and I look at the exercise for this, well, before I get to that, let's check the limits. The limits are set 8.5 by 11, which is a standard size of paper. So when I say limits, format, limits, I'm going to say lower left-hand corner 0, 0, which is the default anyway down here. So I just hit enter. And then the upper right-hand corner will be 8-1/2. And so I click in here, 8-1/2. That means 8.5 inches. And then comma, x-axis, y-axis, 11 inches. More than we need to really worry about, but we're just following the book. And then what it has, this thing is, let's see, display the grid within the area. It's called grid display. And so grid display settings will change it from unlimited to within the grid area. So when I go to grid display, GRID, it'll be smart enough to give me all the words or all the commands that start with grid. And so I say grid display, and I change it from 3 to 0. And now this is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of grid paper. And what they're doing is they're setting us up in model space to be able to print out full scale on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Continuing on, they can change the scale of the, or they change the limits and things like that. We don't need to really worry about that. We want to make sure that snap is on. And so we'll set the snap at 1/8 of an inch. You can type SN, or you can just find the snap commands. If I come back here, let's see here, I'm going to try not to kibosh my meeting. Snap, SNAP, enter, 1/2 inch. Was it the right one, Al, or was it 1/8 of an inch?
Should be an 1/8 of an inch, but that's okay.
So we'll dial it down, 1/8, 1/8 of an inch. And then when I draw with that snap being on, you'll see that the cursor will move in 1/8 inch increments. So if I want to draw a 1/2 by 1/2 inch box, voila. Zooming, zoom all, not a big thing. Layers, we're working with layers right now. We create these layers, and they're like transparencies that we can overlay on top of each other. So you can see one layer will be of the floor plan, another layer will be of the plumbing, another layer will be of the electrical. And that way we can have different people working on those different components. And then when we put the drawings together, we have a master assembly drawing. Here's some more about layers, things like being able to plot them, colors that we will work with, on and off versus freeze and thaw, line types, line weights. There's a lot of it you don't really need. Colors, line types. And so they have us load these different line types and to draw these different objects. So we'll load the line types that they tell us to, and we'll make the drawing. So with that, I'm just going to kind of work ahead and just see what they want me to do rather than reading it. We're not going to do annotation scale. And we will save this drawing. And we will make it look like this. And so we'll start off with just a line and a square and a rectangle. So as I go into it, I'll come back over here. I will double click the middle wheel, right, Al? Whoops. Yes. That's a zoom all. So it just zooms in what's in there. I'm going to delete that. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to draw.
Joe, You
Yeah.
use the window around the object. Uh, If you go from the right or to the left, is there any difference?
Yes, there is.
Can you explain that, please?
Not yet. I'm going to do the drawing first. And so I'm going to draw point 1 to point 2, and then I'm going to draw a rectangle, and I'm just going to draw it like that. Now, L will have me go through and demonstrate how to use commands like move and copy. And so here's kind of my object right here. Let's say, oh, you know what? They're 2 square grids, and I'm super perfect type person, and this one's supposed to be 4 squares. I need to modify these. And click on it, grab a grip, and drag that one down to 4 squares. And I can do the same for this one. I can say, well, it's not quite big enough. It goes down to 4, goes out to 4. Escape. Make this one a little bit longer. Escape, move. If I go from this way to this way, it's green. It means it selects everything it touches, and I can move it from here to here. If I want to move and I go this way, it only selects what's in the box. And so I can then go and move it. Try it again. From here. Doesn't find them because it's a polygon. So I have to explode it and then move it because it's grouped. We'll explain that as we go on. Move. There. Now it's going to work from here to here. Only takes one piece of it. Repeat command by right mouse clicking, move. Green windows are better. And the selection from here to here. And so as we look at the first assignment, we're just drawing these shapes. And if we wanted to erase one, we can type the letter E, or we can select the eraser. And then we select what we want to erase. And so they just drew this by whatever method they wanted. We're not going to get that worried about whether it's the exact point location on it. I guess I could go and do that. I'll show you how that would go. So I'll show you the erase command and then how to use those coordinates. And so if I erase something, I can go erase. And if I go and put a window around it, I can continue to build the selected set, and then I hit enter. And then if I want to go and draw lines, I can go to the line command, and I'm just reading from page 55 of the book. And I'll type in 4, 10 is where the line starts. 4, 10, enter. And that's 4 units over and 10 units up. And then what I'll do is I'll type 7, 10 is my next location. Enter. And then I'll type in 7, 9. Doesn't look right, Al. What did I do wrong? And then I'll type in 4, 9. And then I'll type C for close. And I goofed it up. And so we'll erase that, delete it, and then we'll try this again. So line command, and the first point should be 4, 10. So let's do that again. 4, 10 should be 4 units over and 10 units up. So it's going to be pretty high up there. And so we'll say line command, first unit, 4, 10, enter. And then the next unit will be 7, 10, 7, 10. It's not doing, it's doing add 7, 10. So I'm going to say U for undo. And then to make this work, what I need to do is I have to hit the pound sign, 7, 10, enter. There we go. They changed something in there. And then we go pound sign 7, 9, enter, pound sign 4, 9, enter, C for close. So you can make these rectangles perfect. If they're not perfect, this isn't really, a big deal. We're just trying to show you how the textbook works for draw commands. And so You can draw these with the coordinates, or you can just kind of eyeball them. I'm going to just eyeball this square, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to be 4 squares by 4 squares. I'll just move it over there and over there. I believe the book will have us do it exactly like it, but you tell me, Al, if it's okay to do it this way. It's
Oh.
actually 2 by 2.
Right. As you're going down, and if you have your orthographic on, Joe, it might be a lot easier for them to do. That way, it'd be a right angle each time. So that way, as they draw it, they can count the numbers across, and as you do it correctly, heads-up display would give them a direction of length and angle that's currently there.
So my grid is too big. I'm going to dial that down to 1/4 of an inch, and then it'll match. There we go. And then I'm going to just go through. Now, you could just count grid squares. I mean, this is a very precise piece of equipment. So I could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 inch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 inches. So I could say, all right, it's 2 inches away from the other one. And then each of these lines is 1 inch long. I know how to read graph paper. And so if I go and just draw another line over the top of it, this will be fine. If I wanted to go through and measure how far it is from one unit to the other, the best way is with grips. I can go and hover over one grip, and then I can hover over the other grip. No, it's not going to do it that way. I can measure it with distance from here to here, and I can say, oh, it's a 1/2 inch too far over, Joe. Move it 1/2 inch. So I'll say move. I'll put a box around them, hit enter, move from here, 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch. Continuing, let's go back to our PowerPoint or our chapter. And so they have us go through and draw these other shapes, and they have you do it precisely, and they go through some of the dynamic inputs. But I'm just going to use kind of my eye and just count the squares for this, because, you know, we're not really looking for that kind of level. I'm going to need to put this on my other screen so I can see it while I draw it. And so you'll draw some more rectangles. Feel free to change colors. You know, if you say, you know what, I want some red in there and I want a rectangle, I'm going to go and drop this down 2 units below that. And then it looks like it's going to go about 4 units beyond that. And that's going to go down 4 units like that. I'll do another rectangle, count over 2 units. The key is to make sure that the grid and the snap are active. If you don't have the grid or the snap active, it fails. Doesn't provide an accurate drawing. And it depends on what you're going to make. You know, if I'm just laying out furniture, it doesn't matter. If I'm making furniture, it does. I'm going to use a different line type. And so to create a different line type, what I need to do is to go, I'm going to make a layer. And so I'll say layer properties.
They're on active already, Joe.
Yeah, these toolbars always goof me up. And then I'll make a new one. And I'll call it layer, we'll call it hidden, for hidden line. And then I'll set that color for, we'll go with this one. And then line type. Okay, got it. And then for line type, notice I don't have line types. And this is the stuff that hangs up, you know, the beginners. And so we have to load the line type. I'll do that again. You click in the line type area, change it from continuous, load, and these are all the line types available. And we're going to go and grab a hidden line like that. And it's just going to be this dashes. When I used to teach up at NIU, I used to teach the drafting classes, and you would actually have a ruler, and it was 1/8 of an inch line, and then a 30-second gap, and then 1/8 of an inch. There were standards for that. Drafting was very tedious back in those days when you worked with a pencil. And then I'll draw with that layer. I'll make that hidden layer active. I have hidden lines, and when I draw a circle, it will look like that. And then I can copy them or use the other circle construction methods, center diameter.
And ladies and gentlemen, Joe, if you click on it one more time, please.
Tell me what you want.
Just as you're doing it right now, that's fine. You can see as he's making it, you'll see numbers come up. It gives you numbers and also the angles that he's currently using. So if he turns it, it goes around, you will see angles and also blue, the length of the unit.
Yeah, so you get this feedback, and sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not. You know, center radius, okay, center of the circle, and then the radius, 1/4 of an inch. Radius makes a 1/2 inch diameter. And you don't have to be great with math. In fact, that's why I took up CAD, because it does the math for you. All right, so this exercise then is almost complete.
Joe, can I inject one thing?
Almost. Let me just show a couple things and then we'll come back to it. LT scale will adjust the dashes on the hidden lines, and then zooming, redrawing. And so we draw a few more of these circles, and then we draw a donut. And they use a lot of different methods for erasing and changing it. And so you're welcome to read through all of this, but essentially, if I want to draw these other shapes, I'll just show you. And so I can come in here and LT scale, LT SCALE. If I cut it in half, 0.5, I get a finer hidden line type. Repeat the LT scale command. If I make it bigger, 2, I get less hidden lines. And this gets all down to scaling. When you scale things and they're bigger, then you need to adjust the scale of your hidden lines as well. I'm going to go put that back to, let's go with 1. And then let's draw the other components for it. So I'm just going to draw 4 small dots, and then I'm going to draw some arcs. So let's just go with new color, and we'll draw 4 small circles. Now notice that these are going to be hidden, and I want them to be solid now. If I click on it and I change the layer, it changes to the layer properties, which are layer color and line type. If I want to draw more of these, I can just do them by hand, one at a time. If I'm getting paid by the hour, that's okay. In fact, there's a certain flow rate as you work with things like that. And you know, as you get into design mode, you don't want to go too fast. You want to run it at speed that you can think. And so we'll draw those 4 circles. And then when we work with arcs, I typically use 3-point arcs all the time. And then I just manipulate them. So I'll go and I'll draw 3-point arc here, 1, 2, and 3, just like that. And then I'll look at the grid and the snap and I'll go, well, it needs to be a little bit over. So I'll grab it and tweak it like that. And so that's one of them. If I want to draw another one, I can go over here and draw another arc. Some of the other arcs that they're drawing, I'm sure they have a lot of different methods for it, but I can just kind of figure these out. So it depends on whether you go clockwise or counterclockwise with them. And then, like I say, you can work with the grips to kind of smooth them out. And that's the way I like it. It's more of a creative design person versus mechanical engineer. I'm a little bit of both. There. So that's how we draw arc commands. And then how to draw ellipsis would be drawn with the ellipse command. And then these are donuts. And so let's finish this off. To draw an ellipse, let's go change our color. And let's go with this one. And then we'll get the ellipse command. And now if I don't see it, then I need to look for it here. I see it now. So I'll go with the center ellipse command and I'll pan and then I'll say, okay, this looks about good. And I'll go up in the y-axis first, and then I'll just tweak it in the x-axis. And there we go. I can move it. I can adjust the size if I need to with grips. If you are getting these green snapping points, O snaps, and they're not going where you want them, sometimes you have to turn off O snap. And then I'll draw another one. And this time it's orientated horizontally, so I'll go here, here, and then I'll kind of bring that out like that. I'll draw a donut. Let's go with green. Donuts, I don't know why they still have them, because you could draw circles with solid fill. So I could say donut. And then what it's going to ask for is the inside diameter of the donut. So we'll just say, it looks like it's 1/4 inch, 0.25. And then the outside diameter will say 0.5. And then it gives me my donut. And I don't know why it drew it there, but if I repeat it, maybe I didn't put it down. So take the default 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and then I place it and I hit enter. What am I doing wrong, Al?
Go to donut,
Yeah, I know, I can't make a donut.
zoom in, left click.
Yes, see, now it's having me do it the other way though, which is fine. I just did it by hand. But it's on a layer that's turned off or something is what's happening, because it's disappearing every time I draw it. And so let's just see what's going on. Let's go on this layer. Let's just see. And then to draw a donut with the solid fill, all you do is specify an inside diameter of 0. And then let's say an outside diameter of 1. And then when we place that, we can put that there. And then I can move it. I'm just going to use a regular move command. All right, I'm going to wrap this up and then we'll make another video for how to do the other ones. And I think we have videos, so I don't know if we necessarily need to do that. As we go through and we start to work with the CAD system, I realize that some of you may have experience, this might be your first class. So we take it really from a very basic standpoint where we just want to show you how to draw these different objects. You can put your name on here by using the letter A here. So I can select multi-line, make a little box down here, and then I can put student name and green check mark. And then if I wanted to save this, I can go to the save as, and I can save this as exercise 1. Yep. And that completes exercise 1 in the video recording. I'm going to stop the recording and then we'll continue on.